Hello everyone, my name is Amos Nimas, and in today's video, this video is going to be dedicated to new Linux user, people who want to learn how to use Linux, why use Linux. It's not going to be a full tutorial, of course, because there's too much to learn, but I've seen some question online of people asking themselves, what can you do on Linux? Why do people say you can customize everything on Linux? How do you do it? Well, that's what I'm gonna explain in this video. So, first of all, when you open a terminal, by default you should be in your home directory. The symbol of your home directory is this tilde slash sign right here that I selected. I'm not sure if you can see it correctly. It's really small, but it's the tilde sign basically. And you can do a search to know what symbol it is, and you can use it when you type something in the terminal. Like for example, if I want to cd in the directory, I can use the tilde sign to say home slash my username, and then I can add whatever I want as a directory. And in this way, if another person use the same script, it will also use home slash their username, so you won't have to change each time the username. So if you typed for example slash home slash username, and for some reason the username were to change, you would have to change the comment each time. So that's why you use the tilde sign. So that's my first advice of the day. So now that you're in your home directory, and just to be sure, you can just do cd with nothing after it, then it will move you directly into your home directory. It's home slash user to be more precise. And then once you're there, once you're in the tilde directory if you prefer, you can do a cd into your .config folder. So in this directory, if you do ls, you will see a folder with the configuration of most programs that you have on your computer that have configuration file. If a program or something on your computer doesn't have a directory here to configure it, in most cases, not all cases, but in some cases, you can just make the directory with the name of the program that you want to configure, and then you can do search to know where to get the template for the configuration file. So for example, if I move into my awesome directory right here, awesome is the tiling window manager that I'm using. What does this mean? Well, on Linux you can choose the window manager of your choice, compared to Windows where you're stuck with the same default window manager that Windows offer you. And as you can see, I don't have a bar on top of my terminal right now. I don't have, well, I have this this border, this orange border that I added. I could remove it if I wanted, and that's in the config file that I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna explain to you how you can customize Awesome using config file. And that's why I like Awesome. It's really customizable, and I can do it whatever I want. If I open multiple terminal, for example, you can see they will all stack up, and I can change the way they stack if I prefer it that way or any other way. And I can make one of them full screen. I can make it, and now it's for some reason, oh okay, I thought it would be floating, a window, a floating client that I could move around, but it isn't. I don't like floating client, but I understand that sometimes they are necessary, like for small text pop-up and all that. And the way I configure my Awesome RC file, the config file of my Awesome window manager, is configured in a way that if I open well, if I have a pop-up message or a configuration, for example, the configuration of my terminal will be in a pop-up format. If it's a small window like this, it's in floating mode, because I don't want it to try to tile, because when a window is not resizable, and your system is trying to tile it, it can cause issues. So it's important that if you have windows that aren't, or client, how they're called in the, when you talk about the tiling window manager, we often refer to those software as client. And then if the client is not resizable, you have a command in your configuration file that says that you can move it around. So I'm gonna close it because I have a lot of stuff open, and even if those are just terminal, they're slowing down my computer because I'm recording at the same time, and I don't have a powerful computer. It's a really weak computer, and it has some difficulty doing all that. So but it's good enough for most jobs. Just that recording is not one of them. So if I want to edit my awesome configuration, for example, by default the awesome directory does not exist. You need to create it, but like I said, that's on a case per case basis. So you just need to do a search depending on the software that you want to customize, if there is a way to create a directory in your config file, or if you need to maybe you can't, maybe there's already one created for you when you install the software. So you need to inform yourself on that topic. So by default you won't have all those folder right there. Like I explained, those are folder you need to get somewhere else on your system by doing a cp command, source template, for example. Here you would type the path to the original template file for your awesome rc.lua, in fact. So this would be the rc.lua original, and then you would just type the directory in which you want to paste it, which would be this directory that we're in right now. So we could do something a little bit fancy like pwd and slash, we will put it in quote because this is gonna be text, and rc.lua. So we could paste, like copy the original rc.lua from its original directory into our current working directory, which you can get with pwd. Why I'm putting it in braces with the $sign in front of them is because this is how you tell bash that it's going to be a comment that need to be executed separately. So this will be converted into a string of your local directory, which is this right here that I selected, the ~sign.config awesome directory path. So now that I've explained all this, now that you're here, now that you have your rc.lua file, for example, because that kind of apply to all configuration process, you can choose a text editor of your choice. And by default, when you just started using Linux, now that the one that you're probably gonna have installed on your system, it's probably gonna be installed on your system if you're using Debian, but if you're using other version of Linux, you might have other default text editor, maybe Vim, maybe it depends. There's visual text editor and there's terminal based text editor. And both are good for their own reason, but I'm gonna start with the terminal based text editor because it's the one that you're gonna have mostly by default, and it's one that you should try your best to get used to. And I'm gonna explain why a little bit later on in this video, but for now let's just use nano to edit my rc.lua. So now that we're in our rc.lua, I have a lot of configuration. Most of it you won't need to change or touch. For example, here there's something that I configured, and I'm gonna show you what I did. So as you can see, the orange text right now with the two minus sign in front of them are comments. If you put two minus signs in Lua, because this is in the Lua programming language that you configured this file, other window manager might have other programming language to configure them, but for Awesome you use the Lua programming language and it works flawlessly. Sorry, I just checked if this was still recording. And here what I did, I commented all the tiling mode that I did not want. Most of them I did not like, so I removed them. So when I change the tiling mode, the way the client are tiled, I don't accidentally use like magnifier, which I don't like, corner, which I don't like. So I only switch between those three that I enjoy, which I think are good. You can also add one that is floating, but like I said, I don't really like floating, so I removed it from the option. But I think most people will prefer keeping it as an option when they're starting. So, but when you get used to non-floating window manager, non-floating client, maybe you can just remove it from there if you want. If you don't want, you can keep it. So if you go, I don't remember where it is, but there's a place where you have like all these shortcuts. There it is. So you have all these shortcuts and you can create your own. So most of these I made myself. So here you have a function that will be executed in the terminal when I do super and R. The super key, also known as the Windows key, because most people use Windows, and most keyboard have the Windows symbol on it because most people use Windows. So it's kind of a paradox, but yeah, the window key plus R will read the selected text, because that's what it does. The Excel program will take the selection of the mouse, and eSpeak will take what is fed to it by this pipe here. This symbol is called the pipe symbol, and what it does, it's simple. It simply take the output of a program and inputs it as the input of another program. So it will take the output of Excel, which is the selection of my mouse, and put it into eSpeak, which will read the selection. So that's a program that when I do super R, it will read the selection. So I have other program, the terminal launcher to launch my terminal. It's a super T, and you have all my small shortcut that you can probably just copy if you like them. I have some custom software that are in my awesome folder, awesome directory, that I can execute from this config file, and by default you won't have this prompt.sh, which is a shell script, which is a form of software that is really basic to make and really important. I think if people need to start learning a single programming language in their life, they should start with shell script, and it should be on Linux, because well, the shell script on Windows is Bash, it's called, and it's really not great. It's not as advanced as Bash with BASH is. So if you just want to quit now this configuration without saving, you can just do Control X and you're back to your terminal. If you want to just take a look at the text file to know, or at the config file, or any file for that matter, if you just want to take a look at what inside without having to open it, you can do head to see the top of the file, just the beginning of the file, and then the file that you want to look at, and it's gonna show you just the first line of the file, and you can specify, I think, the number of lines. You can do probably like head 10, and it's gonna give you the 10 first line. No, it's not gonna do that because we have an issue. But if you have a question about how software work, you can just do man for manual and then type head, and it's gonna give you all the information that you want, so you can specify how much line they give you. In this case it would be somewhere in here, but I'm not gonna take the time to read that, and my computer screen is currently flashing, so I can't see properly what's written. So and you have also the less command, which will print the entire file. Cat command is similar, but I think you need to pass the output to the echo command or something like that. And finally you have the tail command, which is the opposite of the head command. It will only show the end of a file. So this only shows the end of the file, and head shows the beginning of it. If I do tail rc.lua, there you go. And I said I would speak about configuration of your system and all that. As you can, my terminal has been configured a lot. I type clear to just empty the terminal, start over. It's the same terminal, it's just that I removed everything that was written on it. And if I want to customize the terminal itself, like in my terminal, it will display the time that a new line was open. Like this is a line that I can write in. So each time I enter a new comment, for example, if I type echo hello, it will display it will refresh the time for the new line. But once a line is typed in the terminal, it will not refresh it. If you want it to be refreshed, I have a function called clock, which is in my bashrc. What is the bashrc? Bashrc is the file in your home directory, home/user directory if you prefer. I will use no or not even, I will just use less to show you. and it looks something like that. And here you can configure your terminal. It's basically a script that will be executed each time you open a terminal, that will say to your terminal how to be configured. So I have a lot of function right here, I have a lot of aliases right here, so I suggest you make your own aliases and your own function, and you can look online to find function and aliases that you like if you want to. And to quit less, you can just press Q. And as you saw previously, if I just type aliases, it's gonna display all my aliases. And what is an aliases? An aliases is just changing the name of another command or program. So basically, instead of having to type Python 3 each time, I can just type py. Instead of having to type pip3, I can just type pip, and it will be read as if I typed pip3. So it's telling the terminal that if I type this, I'm really typing this. If I type this, it's the same as if I typed this. So that's what aliases are, and somewhere in there I have an aliases that is q equal exit. So basically the exit command on your terminal will just close the terminal. So if I open a new terminal and I type q and then press enter, it's gonna do the same. Why did I use this aliases? Well, it's shorter, it takes less time to type. So this will be the end of this video. This was not intended to be a very long video that explains everything you can do on Linux, but this is an introduction on what you might want to do on Linux, what you can customize on Linux, what does it look to customize those stuff on Linux. And there's multiple ways to customize these files. Like for example, if I want to add an aliases to my bash RC, one thing I could do is do something like alias 1 equal 2, for example. This is not a valid aliases, but I'm just gonna show you how I could add this aliases to my bash RC. I could then take this, which I should probably echo out, because currently it's not gonna be read correctly. So I need to echo this as a text. So I'm gonna output this as a text. I need the echo command to say that this is gonna be output. And then I'm using this greater sign to say greater than sign to say pass the output of this. No, not pass, append. In fact, I'm gonna append the output of this to what file? My .bash rc. And I'm not sure if you need to put a slash in front of it or not. I think it's just .bash rc like this, and it's gonna append this line, the output of my echo, to the end of my bash rc, and it's still gonna work. It should still work, because you can add aliases everywhere you want in your bash rc, and it's gonna be executed. And you don't even need to add them to your bash rc. If you just want a temporary aliases, you can just set it from the terminal like this. I'm not gonna press enter because this is not a valid aliases. But you get the point. And like I said before, you can use right here this the two brackets with the dollar sign in front to execute a command. Then I'm gonna put it in quotation to say that this is gonna be a string, and I'm gonna put this after echo to say I want to output this as a text. So instead of outputting this directly as a text, it should output my current directory. For example, I could just do maybe ls, and it's gonna print the file of the directory that I'm in as if I just typed ls. But I don't have the color, of course, because that is not outputted by the ls function. It takes the output of the ls function and it outputs it with the command echo as a string. So that's why you don't have the color. There's a way to have color in your terminal for your function. So for example, my function that I created that is called memory also has colors in it, and you can study that. It's all on my GitHub pages, and I think that all those configuration files that you edit and make, you should all post them publicly on your GitHub. And the reason why it should be public, it's not just for others, it's for yourself. Think about that. If your computer breaks, if you lose your GitHub account, the only way that you can have access to those files is if you made them public. So otherwise, if you made them private, and for some reason your GitHub account is inaccessible for whatever reason, and you need a file on your GitHub account, if it ain't public, you ain't getting it. So keep that in mind. It's not just for other people, it's also for yourself and also for other people. So that's nice. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, you can like and subscribe, and I think there's a bell you can also ring, and you can leave a comment, and if you do, I am gonna answer it as best as I can. Have a good day. Goodbye.